this works on all of the Linux-like systems. One nice thing about having everybody on the Slack is that I just saw some of our previous people who've gone up to Joburg join us on the Slack. Okay, great. I want to just show you one command that's really useful. Wow, this thing likes its high resolution. Let me get the display set correctly. Settings is ready. Where's my screen? Where's my display setting? Remember this for next time. Let's just make it like so. Yes? Sorry. Oh. So, just finding my mouse again. Where's the mouse gone? Somewhere here. So if one command that is very useful for keeping track of the resource utilization on your computer is htop, okay? So there is a command called top, but there's another one called htop, okay? So htop like this, H-T-O-P, okay? Like that. Let me just make my screen a bit bigger. The reason that I find this so useful, it shows you which processes are running and using the most memory, okay? Or the most CPU, okay? It's being sorted by CPU. Oh, I put Zoom running? Okay, I'm just kill my Zoom, okay. But the thing that I really keep an eye on is that line where it says memory over there, because my laptop, my biggest constraint on this laptop, we were talking yesterday about power, I've got two things that keep running out on this laptop. Disk space and memory. Okay, this laptop has 256 gigs of disk space and 8 gigs of memory. Okay, and both of them keep running out, and I have to keep deleting things from my disk and keeping an eye on the memory. So if you see here, my memory, it says 4.6 gigs out of 7.55 gigs used. Okay, that's because my Firefox is running and things like that. That's why I had to shut down my browser yesterday while I was running Clean Your Reads. Because, yeah, this next line, the swap that's red all the way there, that is the on-disk swap, okay? If you start actually using that for doing computation, look, if your web browser is using that because you've got a tab open that you haven't read in a while, you know, you opened a tab on that paper that you really meant to read and it's been open for the last 3 weeks and you haven't closed it yet, then that's fine to swap that to disk because that piece of memory, you're not going to be accessing that piece of memory anytime soon. But if your actual computation, if you actually are running a computation that is like FastP and it starts using your swap, your computer will basically freeze, okay? Just to illustrate, on a more powerful computer, if I just press Q, to get out of htop, you just press Q, just like in more, right? So that you can get out. There's other options, but I just use the basics of it. If I log into our shell computer that we were using yesterday, and I run htop, then a couple of things are notable. Firstly, the memory usage is 615 megs out of 31 gigs over there. My memory is so much more, but also notice that the swap is 0 out of 0. In fact, this server has no swap, okay? because most servers that are doing work, you will configure them to not have any disk swap, because they're not like anything that they're running is stuff that has to run now. It can't be moved to disk, okay? You know, if you hit disk, it's too slow, okay? So most servers will be configured like that, because basically nobody's running a web browser on the server or something like that could be put in the background, you know? Everything here is live, okay? The main limitation of this thing is that this is actually a virtual machine running on the Ilifu infrastructure, and its disk space is limited. Because I'm hitting my usage quota on Ilifu, and they're not, I don't want to ask them for more, because I haven't paid them much money recently. But anyway, but yeah, so I'm Tony, you can edit all of this stuff out of the video. But yeah, no, but Ilifu shared infrastructure lets us create this for training, but it's for training. It's not like actual. If I log into actual Ilifu, and I get myself a compute node, just waiting to log in. So I'm now on the head node of Ilifu. Okay, if anybody's used a cluster, there's a thing called a head node, which is where you submit your jobs from, and you don't ever run anything serious on here. Just waiting for it to finish logging me in. Okay. Okay, let me just do a yes run. Get myself an interactive session. So Mary, actually, your stuff that you're running on the server over there, you run it directly. You're not using like a Slurm or anything like that. You actually run directly on the machine. Okay. So I'm just waiting for them to allocate me some resources. But this thing, this is a cluster made up out of hundreds of nodes, I think. I can't remember how many there are, but there's a lot. And it has access to a few petabytes of storage. There you go. So if we look, here I'm on a machine, which I might be sharing with other users, but what we can see is that memory utilization is something out of 252 gigs of RAM, no swap, because this is like a compute server, and you see this thing's got actually that's 32 CPUs all across the top there, compared to my laptop with its 4 CPUs, and various other things are running. But this is we can't see this going off the screen, but basically this is a shared infrastructure, so it's probably other people are, the reason it's using 50 gigs of RAM is that other people are running things on the computer, okay? And then if I go to my Scratch folder here, slash Scratch 3D users PBA, then they're constantly telling us to clean up our disk space usage, because we only have 117 terabytes of space free out of 1,000 terabytes. So in other words, this scratch area is one petabyte worth of disk. But it's nice. It's very nice to have this, because you can work without hitting limitations all the time. You know. But yeah, not only was there a substantial investment to build this from the different universities here in the Cape Town area, but the staff to manage this thing, it's, you know, I think they have 4 or 5 full-time staff just running the compute side of this thing. So the one problem when you're growing your compute is you have to grow your people as well to look after it, you know. which is easier said than done because such people are not always easy to recruit and retain, you know. But anyway, so that's something about. But htop is your basic command just to see what the state of things is. Okay. So. Sorry, documents. Yesterday, we got to the point that our data had been processed and quality checked, quality controlled with the Clean Your Reads workflow. So now, today, I want to take us further with the Snippy workflow. As I mentioned yesterday, I've made a reference out of these two references that I've joined together, okay? So I'm still updating the website, but let me just go into where this data is all coming from. Need to move this window to here. Okay, so this will go live today, but I'm just giving a bit of background on cholera. Okay, so Colgen. So who here has actually worked with Vibrio cholerae, the organism? Here, and you guys are starting to work with it, and there. Okay, so we are now in what's called the 7th cholera pandemic. Okay, there's a nice. I've linked some nice papers here. I particularly like this illustration over here, which shows. I was talking about the diversity of the cholera species, and this illustration from one of the papers that I linked shows how the bacteria that is our 7th pandemic cholera strain has originated, right? So originally there was the non-toxigenic, there was just cholera O1. So the O's are, the O types are related to the O polysaccharide that's on the outside of the shell, I mean of the bacterial cell. So O1 cholera was not originally, a problem for humans, right? But then it acquired the pathogenicity island 1, and it got infected by the CTX5 bacteriophage, which is basically, it's a linear phage. If you look at it under an electron microscope, it basically looks like a piece of spaghetti, and that infected the Vibrio cholerae. Another pathogenicity island got kind of picked up. If you go read in the literature, they do describe what the different pathogenicity islands do. One of the things that's important about the pathogenicity islands is that they allowed for the assembly of the TCP, okay? So the toxin conjugating pillars, so basically, which allows two things. Firstly, it proved the structure that came with pathogenicity island 1 gave an entry point. It's actually the receptor for the CTX5 bacteriophage that brought the toxin genes into the cholera bacteria, okay? So, and it also, the same structure allows the Vibrio cholerae bacteria to adhere to each other and form clumps in the intestine, so kind of form like microcolonies in the intestine, okay? And then colonize humans. And then this turned into kind of pathogenic cholera many years ago. And then eventually, the story that we're dealing with today starts in the early 1900s in Egypt at a quarantine station in a place called El Tor that has a different name these days. I can't remember what it is. But the story here is really the story of the Hajj. Okay? Because pilgrims going to Mecca from many different places, it was noticed that sometimes they brought cholera with them, okay? And because of this, the quarantine stations got set up around the Middle East area. So the story is not that, you know, like the pilgrims are the problem, but the pilgrims, people move, okay? But the fact that there were so many people moving, and the understanding of like a public health back in those days led to the circumstance that let us actually collect the samples that we now know this history. Because if this had happened somewhere where people were not being quarantined and samples collected, then we wouldn't know this part of the history of evolution. And fast forward several decades, and we have the emergence around 1960 of the fully assembled O1 L-Tor 7th pandemic cholera, okay? Which then, from then on, spreads around the world in 3 different waves. We are in wave 3 at the moment, and is introduced to Africa 13 times thus far, I think, which they call T1 to T13. It's in some of the other papers, okay? But what happens here, after all of this random assortment, infection of bacteriophages, genetic mutations, all of those kind of things, and of course human activity, is that suddenly an organism finds its niche, okay, and it expands massively, right? And this is really the story that we have of emergent diseases, right? It's the confluence of human behavior and the natural evolution and reassortment of pathogens that comes together and gives us a pandemic. We saw that with SARS-CoV-2. We've seen that with many thousands of years ago with Mycobacterium tuberculosis, that was originally a soil bacteria that's now found a niche in humans. We've seen that with Vibrio cholerae, that most of the most of the serogroups of Vibrio cholerae are just circulating in rivers and crustaceans and things like that, and really not having much interaction with people, you know. But it's this kind of combination. But then because it forms this successful clone, it then becomes clonal expansion, which is why we can use reference-based mapping to look at the bacteria, okay? And then the last piece of our story for our particular data set happens about over here, where it makes it a variant that is related to the T12 introduction that we see in Africa also makes its way to Haiti in the Caribbean. Okay? And the data that we're dealing with is from these 2 papers, which are about the establishment of a toxigenic Vibrio cholerae reservoir in Haiti and its pattern of evolution over the course of the past decade, approximately. Okay, so the reference sequences that I'm using is not the Bangladesh 1975 a reference that gets used for a lot of cholera work. It is a sample from Haiti about 2010, which I put together, okay? Like I said yesterday, I've concatenated the 2 chromosomes into 1. I just chose that because a great way to learn things in bioinformatics is to find a paper and try and reproduce what that paper is doing, okay? As a side, with a colleague of mine, when I've got some free time, I've got a paper on drug-resistant gonorrhea that I want to work through just to, you know, have some more practice, you know, at analyzing the organism. So just, you know, and for everything, like you know, you want to know how to analyze a virus, go find a paper, try and find a data set, work backwards from their conclusions. Especially what's nice is when people make their data available in a nicely organized fashion, okay? This paper, I really like it for a couple of reasons. Firstly, when I asked for a training data set, then one of the authors of the paper on Slack offered up her work as a training data. Okay. Secondly, all of the data here is available from EBI in a bio project. Okay. So this PRNJ, if you go to EBI, just waiting for it to load, then all of the read data is available in a public database, so that I could download it. Okay, it is there. The website's just been slow. Okay, well, I obviously made a typo somewhere because it is there somewhere. I'll fix up the website. And then the other thing is that if you read the paper, in the supplementary materials in the paper, they give you a spreadsheet that has all of the relevant metadata that you need to use to interpret the data, okay? And what I like about this is that if I look at how people put their metadata, sometimes they don't give you the metadata, sometimes they put it in a table in a PDF that's really difficult to reuse. But this was a simple Excel file with the IDs on the one side and then the metadata on the other side. So it made it really easy to reproduce the research for training purposes. Anyway, so that's where the background for this data. And so then let's get to the script that's going to take a while to run. So let's get it running and perhaps go have coffee or something like that because it will take a while. Okay. This is the script. I will put the script where you can download, and I will put the link in the in the Google Sheets again. Okay. Let me just do that, and then let me do it before I carry on talking because then it will make then we can start running things while I carry on talking. Okay. So. Let me just move this window back to this side so that I can actually cut and paste easier. Where's my where's my window gone? Oops. Lost the right window. This window. Oops. Sorry, I've lost where I put the link to the
Peter, the bioproject number is correct. If you maybe just copy and paste it, maybe the link.
Maybe I made the link wrong.
Yeah, but the number that you have
is it? Okay, so I will go fix that. Okay, here. This is the doc that I was trying to show. So at the bottom of the Google Doc, please use wget to download that link. Okay? And then chmod a plus x, the script that you downloaded. Do this in your Vibrio folder. Make sure that you're in the folder with your Vibrio data that you were using yesterday. And then once you've got it, just run the script, /run Bactopia snippy. And if you've got problems, if it starts running, let me know. If you've got problems, let us know so that we can start fixing them. Because once it starts running, you what?
No final name.
Okay, well, let me just show you what it looks like when it's running, okay? Conda activates Bactopia. So when it starts running, it's going to run these steps called snippy, okay, and they will take a while, okay. So, okay, mine already ran, so it goes quickly, but normally those snippy run steps take quite a while, okay. But so let's see. Can you all try and run Bactopia snippy? Maybe you must first wget the link. First thing you need to do is to copy the link using wget. Okay. I'm going to just delete my wget that path without the space, just like so, and then chmod a plus x run Bactopia snippy, and then /run Bactopia snippy. Okay, so let's go around and see who's got it running. If you're having problems, put up a, what was the bad color? A yellow. Put up a yellow sticky. If you're having problems, put up a yellow sticky. Okay. If it's running, in other words, you're seeing the snippy run stages. Okay. So I'm just going to delete my my work directory so that it doesn't have the cached data. If you've got it running, and it is running, I don't need it to be finished, then put up your blue sticky. If you're having problems, put up your yellow sticky. Okay? So if you can see this, put up your blue sticky. Okay? If it's not working, I think there's ones here. So if you're still in progress, well, yeah. The blue sticky. Let's see what's not hard. In your reads, yes. You've done your reads. It's finished, yes. And yes. Okay, that's good. Okay, so you're going to do. Now you must run. You must run Bactopia. So no, not Bactopia. Not Bactopia common. You must run a plus x to run Bactopia. Underscore Bactopia. Yeah, underscore snippy. .sh. Okay, now I just go ./run. Yeah, apparently blue means like you stroke thing, the old stroke, right, you know. Yeah, and then you must do the command is run it. Not cat it, run the command. Dot slash, and then the name of the command. Yeah, enter. No space. That's the command, run it. Yes. Enter. Now it will go download some things. And for you it will be, okay, it should start running straight away. Okay. Yours looks like it's good. Okay. This is blue. Yes, Conda activate Bactopia. Remember we put it in the Conda environment. If it says, please ensure Bactopia is in your path, Conda activate Bactopia. Okay. For the Macs, my Mac experts over here. Same thing as we did yesterday, it didn't minus work, so can you get my script? But instead of the workflow thing you read, you can use workflow snipping, but the rest of the parameters is going to be like I've got up there. But you can't, no. Yeah, no. Let me just go. Just find another one. Yes, single. Just. Four one 4-8. Does yours start with 4148?
41488.
And does it end with 77FD? So that's signs that it's not that container image is wrong. So that is correct. Well, let's Google this message and see if it has anything useful. This is Lorem Ipsum. Just see what it should be. That suggests that there's a problem right to folder. I'm trying to see, let's see what we're using. It is using numbers. Okay, so this is the same thing. Okay, so let's set the number cache here. And how's it been? So let's set that to somewhere where we can choose it. Let's make it for the cache. I don't know. I this is me really just experimenting. Exports number, what's one? Number, cache, but this is going to cause all sorts of chaos. There's Final Finds in the front. I think it's working. Stanislaus.
That's yellow sticky.
Is it working? Oh, he's got a yellow sticky. Okay.
That's also yellow sticky.
Positive Jean. The Bactopia variant, but what was the one that we're looking for? Bactopia variants. Ah, there's a link to /singularity. What's it? Bactopia. 691 megs. Okay, do you have a portable hard drive or anything? Big USB. Then we can parallelize this process of getting people. And let's see what's going on with the Cameroonian. So it's running. It's running. So why are you yellow? You need to borrow your hard drive.
The yellow sticky is I'm unhappy.
But why is he unhappy?
Because
Because he's here, he doesn't like the
the
climate,
ambiguity of the color, the new
he
colors.
doesn't like
New
the
colour scheme
colors.
is ambiguous.
He's got a different, his favorite color is
But he likes
red.
yellow. He likes yellow.
I don't know. Yeah, what's this thing about red being a problem anyway? The people's flag is deepest red. You don't know that song?
No.
The red flag, famous workers' song.
I found this interesting paper about quorum sensing and how cholera
It's
becomes commensal.
But no, genus is wide. And so there's apparently a children's book about here. Vibrio fischeri. You guys know about Vibrio fischeri? Bobtail squid have a symbiotic relationship with Vibrio fischeri, and the quorum sensing is used to help control the bioluminescence from the Vibrios. Everything is singularity character. Yeah, it's almost related. It's not related to the one. So Vibrio fischeri quorum sensors, and somehow the bobtail squid interacts with this thing to change how it shows up, how it lights up.
How old is that?
It
How
must be
many
millennia, must be millions of years. So the Vibrio genus is wide and doing lots of other things, but there's also Vibrio Volnicarium or something like that causes it's the so-called flesh-eating bacteria that fishermen sometimes get. Causes really aggressive wound infections.
This one is talking about how it regulates tryptophan uptake. When it stops using the tryptophan so that the human gut can produce serotonin again. So it's moving towards commensalism.
Well, L-Tor, cholera, is in some ways, we've had these horrible outbreaks. I don't know if you saw in Zambia, they had to repurpose their main football stadium to be a cholera hospital. It was really, really bad, But it was, like those early pictures of Wuhan during the pandemic. That's what it looked like. Just terrible. But compared to the period of activity of L-Tor Vibrio, compared to the classic, the pre-L-Tor, it's shorter. So people were infectious with the previous cholera for up to 5 weeks, and L-Tor only 2 weeks. But so
Is the commensalism thing a thing? Is it why it's spread or is it not?
No, but most choleras. Robert Petit, who wrote Bactopia, was actually we're chatting because he wants to add a module specifically for Vibrio because he's picked it up in samples from kids in years just been swimming in a river. And of course, when you pick up a Vibrio cholerae, you have to notify the CDC because it's a health emergency. But it looks like it's just a non-0139 conventional or like totally harmless bacteria, you know. And so, like, there's not a lot of great typing tools, command line typing tools for cholera. But anyway, okay. So, who is still having problems running the Snippy?
The green sticky.
Yours is running. You still having the problems. Ivan, you getting the once you're done with the hard drive, then we need to move it to Eric. Okay? Have we got it? So yours is having bad issues related to. Mange, is yours just running?
Blue is good and yellow is
Yeah,
good.
yours is done.
Still.
Charity, is it running?
Green progress is good.
And why is it doing this even though
Will
we
it start
got
or
the
is it
same
running?
stuff from hard drive?
Okay, blue is good.
But did you copy to your Singularity